Crime Curious is a true crime podcast that takes an in-depth look into real cases through the lens of a trained investigator and former prosecutor turned judge.
If you are sensitive to expletives, anatomical descriptions, and accurate descriptions of crime scenes, this podcast may not be suitable for you.
Welcome to Crime Curious. I'm Charnell.
I'm just Jason today.
Yes, you are just Jason. This week, Megan is out again unexpectedly. Work got into the way, and the show must go on. So we have to do another week without our dear Megan, but that's okay. She enjoys listening when she can't come on the show, and this is why we have three co-hosts, because life happens, for sure.
Like Three's Company.
Three's company too. Shake the gree because and also extra gree shaking. Do it again, because last week when Megan wasn't here, we forgot to shake the gree.
Yeah.
So that's an extra one to try to set the energy back correct. Woo! For good luck. I am today's special listener pick. Just so you know, I came across this this case,
I think it just means
it's just a regular case.
It's a case because you pick the content. So
yeah. But sometimes, usually I pick from our list. I mean, we have a long list of listener picks, but this one caught my fancy a while ago, and I've been putting it together, and I'm dedicating it to me.
Where exactly is your fancy?
What did I say? What did I say?
You said it caught your fancy, and I don't know why. I just thought that was really funny because I'm like, "Where's your fancy?"
Oh. Yeah, it did. I don't. You don't want to know. It's not for the audience to know. It is the implication. I didn't even catch that I said that. Usually, I say it tickles my fancy.
Either way, I would have asked.
Right? Where's my
your
fancy? Well, it doesn't see the light of day very often. But anyway, onward with the show. Yeah. So, like I said, I happened to come across this one, and I really thought that it was a very good case to cover. Some people have maybe even watched some of the there's documentaries or movies like based on, I don't know how accurate they actually are to the real case itself. So let's get into it. I'm going to take you to the night of December 15th, 1997, everyone, when a fire tore through a 2-story home in North Philadelphia. Born and raised. Immediately. Everybody who grew up in the 90s was just singing The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Anyway, we're in North Philadelphia. And inside that home that was on fire was 10-day-old Delimar Vera and her mother, Luz Cuevas. Okay? So we have Delimar and Luz. They woke up, Luz woke up to every parent's worst nightmare. The flames were concentrated in the baby's bedroom, in Delimar's bedroom. Luz ran straight toward the smoke, desperate to reach her infant daughter. She pushed through the heat twice, burning her face, choking on smoke, searching the crib. But Delimar wasn't there. With her skin blistering and her lungs giving out, Luz was forced outside of the home, clutching her 2 older children and screaming, "My baby, my baby." Neighbors tried to help. One man said he could hear a baby crying upstairs but couldn't reach her through the smoke. When firefighters finally extinguished the blaze, just 14 minutes after it began, they found no trace of Delimar. No remains. No body. Nothing. Authorities told Luz that her daughter had been completely consumed by the fire. They blamed an overheated extension cord attached to a space heater. But Luz refused to accept that. She insisted from the very first moment that her baby had been taken. Dun, dun, dun.
I don't think, there's a whole spontaneous combustion thing, but there's leftover.
Right.
Like, I don't think a regular house fire would incinerate a child.
Would burn hot enough to get rid of.
I don't know. Based on what
I've.
you know.
Well, we've covered cases, right?
Yeah,
with a lot of
my
fire
limited
and
expertise. I just don't think that doesn't sound like that's something that could scientifically happen.
I agree with
nothing.
you. I agree with you. Now you see what caught my fancy.
Baby bones are softer, but don't like they burn. Like
no, right.
In 14 minutes.
Yep. Right.
That seems odd.
Have I caught your fancy now?
You have caught my
one of your fancies. This is what I'm telling you, because that's what pulled me in as well. Like bullshit. Yeah. There's no way.
I'm calling shenanigans.
Absolutely. So let's talk about the day before the fire. The day before the blaze, December 14th, a woman named Carolyn Correa showed up at the home. She was Pedro Vera's cousin. Now, Pedro is Delimar's father. Although not listed on the birth certificate, she does have his last name. Her name is Delimar Vera, right? Carolyn said that she needed Pedro to look at her car's brakes, and it was her first time ever visiting Luz and Pedro's home. So Carolyn told Luz she had also recently had a baby herself, just 3 days before this visit. Okay. The next day, she returned. So on the 15th, the day of the fire, Carolyn had returned claiming that she left her purse upstairs. Moments after she left the house, the fire started. Okay. Despite Luz's protests, the official narrative never changed. Delimar died in the fire. Firefighters insisted they had searched the room thoroughly. The medical examiner couldn't issue a death certificate because there were no remains, but the family was told to go to the court to get one. Now, Pedro and Luz stayed together for years after the fire. They moved, they had another child, and they tried to rebuild their lives. But Luz never stopped praying, never stopped believing that her daughter was alive. Even Pedro confided to neighbors that he thought Delimar had been stolen. Meanwhile, on the night of the fire, Carolyn Correa was telling her boyfriend's mother that she had given birth at home and named her baby Aaliyah. Okay, because remember, Carolyn even told Luz, I had a baby 3 days ago myself. And Delimar was only 10 days old at this time. Actually 9, because it was the day before the fire. So she was 9 days old. We're going to fast forward now in this story to January 24th, 2004. 6 years later. 6 years has gone by. And Pedro's sister, Evelyn, she has a birthday party. She invited Luz, who is now Pedro's ex-wife. And she also invited Carolyn, because remember, Pedro and Carolyn were related. They were cousins, okay? And the thing is, Evelyn, who's hosting this birthday party, she considered Carolyn to be like a sister. So it's expected that she's going to be there for sure. But she was also being nice, and she invited Luz. They were a close family. At that party, Evelyn walked a little girl over to Luz and said, "Isn't Carolyn's daughter beautiful?" Luz froze. The child had a dimple, the same dimple that Delimar had. Something inside her clicked. Luz actually called the little girl over, pretending that she saw gum in her hair, and she gently removed a few strands.
Right.
Wrapped them in a napkin and tucked them away. She had learned that from watching crime shows, that she would need some DNA. Sometimes the crime shows do come in handy. She took the hair to the state representative, Angel Cruz, who connected her with investigators. Now, I'm paraphrasing here. This wasn't an easy situation. She had went to investigators before and had said, I think my daughter was stolen, okay? And she was basically instructed, like, you're going to have to get a really good lawyer to be able to prove this, right? And so some time goes by from the time that she went to that birthday party and she collected hair samples, and she wasn't just sitting idly by waiting for something to happen. She just simply had been given directive that she would need a lawyer that she couldn't afford. So that's why she just ends up reaching out to Angel Cruz, who was the state representative, right? And this isn't an easy task either, because she had to beg to have the DNA tested, but the DNA does confirm it, you guys. This little girl was Delimar. Police had actually suspected that Carolyn had set the fire and kidnapped Delimar, and then, of course, raised her as her own child in New Jersey, just 15 miles away. But it all takes time, right? So once Angel Cruz is involved, all right, police are taking another look at this, and they're connecting the dots, and they're looking at the evidence from 6 years prior and saying, like, yeah, there's some holes here. There's some definite possibility. The fact that no remains were found and that they had to go to the court to get a death certificate because literally nothing was found. And I will tell you too that there was initially what police and firefighters thought were some bones. The very early parts of the investigation, those were collected, but then they were actually fairly quickly dismissed as not being human bones. They were mistaken fibers for bones. They weren't bones at all.
Bone?
No, they were not even bone at all.
Again, I don't know. I think an experienced firefighter would
It was
know.
some type of wood, and so it had just discolored. And so they had it tested just to know whether or not it was bones, right? It was not. And so that comes up again. That comes up again in a minute. Okay, so now we know Delimar was taken. She was suspected to have been taken by Carolyn, who only lived 15 miles away. Delimar is actually placed in state custody while things are being finalized. And once the results come back, Carolyn is arrested and held on $1 million bail.
Nice.
Okay. She was also charged with arson, assault, and kidnapping. So here's the thing, though. Delimar is now 6. The only mother that she's ever known is Carolyn.
Yep.
So imagine how absolutely traumatic this whole situation for her is. She screamed and cried as she was being taken away from Carolyn. She didn't know Luz. She only knew the woman who had stole her. So Carolyn actually told Delimar, goodbye, this is the last time you're going to see mommy. Also traumatic, okay? Even after the arrest, this case leaves behind a whole lot of unanswered questions, right? Like, how did Carolyn convince everyone that she had given birth at home?
Like no one noticed she was never pregnant?
Well, that is the biggest lingering question. We do think that she was actually pregnant and then potentially had a stillborn baby. Mm-hmm. A family member who later moved and was unable to be reached at the time of the new investigation was present and allegedly helped Carolyn deliver the baby and told other family members about it. I couldn't find the information as to why they had moved. Why are they unable to be reached? Are they on the lam?
Right, they can't be reached, or they won't answer their phone.
The police could not reach this person.
They try real hard?
I don't know that part. I don't know. I'd like to say yes, Jason, but I don't know.
They make a few phone calls,
Also, media couldn't reach them either. Which I think sometimes they're more diligent than.
I'm sure.
Even,
they don't really follow rules.
Right. Right. But Angelica, Carolyn's 17-year-old daughter, saw her mom on December 14th, okay, and says that she met the baby. So family members are very confused because they're like, we know she gave birth at home. We met the baby. The baby didn't change in appearance, even after the fire and kidnapping of Delimar. And so...
What happened to that baby?
Right.
Did she kill her baby?
We don't know.
Clearly she's capable.
We have no answers as to what potentially happened to Carolyn's actual baby. Did she have a postpartum psychotic break? We're not sure. But January 6th, 1998, so this is, the baby, if the baby was born early December, because December 14th, she went to Luz's home and said, I had a baby 3 days ago.
But she had it at
so
home.
that would have been, right, that would have been December 11th, right? January 6th, 1998, she went and got a birth certificate for Aaliyah, claiming that she had given birth at home. But we now know Aaliyah is actually Delimar.
In my head, because, I think logically, why would she, if she had a baby and then killed her baby,
or it died of SIDS?
Well, those are, two different scenarios. Stillborn, miscarriage,
stillborn,
whatever.
Right.
And then she went and kidnapped a baby. That I can kind of wrap my head around. But if she had a baby and then for some reason offed her baby.
Right.
And then went and got another baby and raised it, that doesn't make any sense to me.
I agree completely. I think something tragic happened.
That would make sense.
Yes.
That does have some.
That's the theory that I think holds the most weight. Simply because the familial side and it doesn't make sense to me that she could potentially have murdered her own baby just to go steal another one in an elaborate scheme of setting the house on fire and raise that one as her own.
This was her niece?
Cousin. They were distant. They were like second cousins.
So Pedro was dad?
Pedro's is dad.
Father.
She's like second cousins to Pedro.
Okay. All right. That's also, and then they didn't see her for 6 years?
Well, they weren't close. Yeah. But she ran into her at a birthday party. What I kept looking for is concrete information that could verify that maybe they suspected her all along, but, couldn't prove it. But that is not the case. What starts this is that Luz sees this child, and then, and I will say there's a couple of different scenarios here. There's a scenario that Luz saw the child at a birthday party. And then like 9 months later, again, at another family gathering. And that's when she decided to get the DNA, DNA sample, the hair, right? But in most of the research, it just talks about that one moment when she saw her at a birthday party and took the hair. But I think there was actually 2 different instances where she saw this girl, and it was the second instance that she was like, I've got to do something. That is my daughter. So, which makes more sense to me than just the first time. Because, the first time it seems like you would be like, right. Yep.
This doesn't make sense.
Yes. So the articles that I found that mentioned that she actually, it was like the spring of 1 year, and then like 9 months had went by before she saw her again at another family gathering. And that's when she decided to take the hair follicles. That made more sense to me. And quite frankly, the whole time she had been saying to the family and everybody, someone stole my baby.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine how maddening that must be to just know. And we'll get to it in a minute about the fire investigation, because I haven't told you.
Me.
Yeah, I haven't told you the specifics, but you're going to get more bothered when I tell you about the fire investigation. But I just wanted to bring this portion in where there are members from Carolyn's family that say, we're confused because she was pregnant. She did have a baby. Her boyfriend at the time was like, I felt the baby kick. You know what I mean? Like she was pregnant, guys. We just don't know what really happened to that baby. I really do think that it passed away, whether it be sudden infant death syndrome or stillborn or something like that. And she had a moment of desperation, right? In her grief. But in 2001, Carolyn had a baby with her now husband, Brian Busardo, and the baby actually died several hours later from a heart defect. So that was 2001. This all happened in 97. So then she had a relationship with another man, Andre Moore. She suffered 2 miscarriages with him. So we see this pattern of difficult pregnancies, right?
Yeah.
And issues that to me lends even more credibility to the theory that something happened to that baby and she saw an opportunity to replace her.
But to set fire to the baby's room to cover it, like, that's pretty diabolical.
I agree.
That's a clear thinking. I mean, well,
but
it's premeditated. It's not clear thinking, but it's premeditated.
Right.
Like that, she put thought into that shit.
She did.
She didn't just show up and go, "Oh, a baby. Maybe I'll set the house on fire and take it."
Yes. Yeah. I do think. And you remember she was in the home the day before. So she had the ability to really plan it all out, right?
Yeah.
Which she clearly did in this case. So now I will tell you about the fire investigation that basically failed. Okay. I'm going to start here, though. Fire officials defend their work.
Of course they do.
Yes, but the evidence never really supported their conclusion. When investigators had returned to the scene after the initial firemen had responded, unfortunately, the firemen had already disposed of several 100 pounds of debris from the gutted bedroom into the backyard. So this is problem number 1. We have a contaminated scene, so we don't really even have a good crime scene, okay? Because they just literally made these assumptions so quick of there's no baby because the fire was in the baby's room and the remains just were, I don't think that I don't know how much in 97 are firemen trained on, hey, it takes this type of hot burning fire to incinerate bones and flesh.
Honestly, in my head, I think that in a city big as Philadelphia, there's someone in that department that is, whether it be all of their firefighters, there's someone in that department who is that knowledgeable about fire.
I would hope so.
Like it is, like it's a thing.
But were they on scene that day?
And they also, the city that big probably had, even in 97, they had an arson inspector, like a specific dude for a city that big. That's all he does is inspect for arson.
Yep. The thing is that they came across dry wool particles that resembled human ashes. Okay. So it wasn't discovered until much later that this was wool and not human ash. Pardon me, as I sit here and cough. So again, firefighters looking at these dry wool particles, thinking it's human ash, looking at wood fragments, thinking it's bone, not waiting for any of that to be tested, just started disposing of the bedroom into the backyard, tearing down the scene. Okay. So the other thing I did look it up. In order to make human ashes, like everything to turn to human ash, the fire would have to burn at over 1,000 degrees for an hour or more. Okay, this fire lasted less than 15 minutes. Definitely was not close to 1,000 degrees.
I'm not even sure. And granted, a week-old baby or 10-day-old infant. I mean, yeah, I don't think there'd be much to recognize, but there would be something left.
Right. When the state administrator, Angela Cruz, that I told you about, when she gets involved and the police reopen this, they are struggling real hard to understand how this was not investigated further as a kidnapping right away. So this is helping Luz's case at this point in time, right, of recognizing we're now 6 years later and we have police that are saying, holy crap, yeah, there's so much not right here.
Like just all the pieces of that are too easy to ignore.
Yes. And Angel Cruz actually offered some semblance of explanation, not trying to, bash any department, but there was a language barrier between Luz and authorities that may have led to confusion about whether a body had been found in the fire. Because as Delimar was preparing to return to her real mother, The Philadelphia Fire Department officials defended their actions regarding the night of the fire. Fire Commissioner Harold B. Harriston. His name is Harold B. Harriston. That's just a lot. That's a lot.
Harry be Harry.
Harold Harry. He said, quote, "I think we did what we were supposed to do at the time." According to the department's official report, one firefighter spent 15 minutes completing a preliminary search for 10-day-old Delimar, and a second firefighter spent an additional 20 minutes combing through her bedroom in search of remains. Now, you and I know how policy works, Jay, because we have to follow it in our current positions. This to me says our firefighters did what we were supposed to do. We followed policy. We combed it for for
the minimum
amount required in search of remains. We didn't find any. That was all our job was. It's not a firefighter's job to determine if this was a kidnapping or a homicide.
They should be able to determine if it was arson.
Well, the fire inspector, but that was chalked up to
the fireman on the scene.
Mm-hmm.
No, I see where you're going with this. Yes.
Yep.
Like they're like, this is what we do. Did you do that? Yes. Did you do the checkbox? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The fire marshal, that's who determines if it was arson or not. His report concluded that the cause of the fire was electrical wires, improper use of an extension cord. Because they had an extension cord, or they had a space heater plugged into an extension cord, which is a dangerous thing to do. Please don't do that, everyone. And so I think that the fire marshal looked at what the most reasonable, explanation was. I don't think there was any testing for accelerant or anything like that.
No. I think they found an easy answer and took it rather than looking further.
Exactly.
They found a reasonable answer.
Yep.
Like,
and went with that.
Looks good.
Didn't try to find any alternative hypothesis at all. And that's what the big problem is, how did the fire marshal mislabel what was actually arson as an electrical fire, right? But with all of this also means there's no evidence to connect Carolyn to arson. When the fire marshal inappropriately labels something as, electrical wires, improper use of an extension cord, and not arson, they have to drop those charges. There is nothing linking Carolyn to arson at all. And so here's the thing. The entire time firefighters are telling Luz that her daughter had perished in the fire, she continued to yell in Spanish that her baby was alive and had been taken from her. Now, she's hysterical, right? They're not really listening because they don't understand. They don't speak the same language. Only 2 remarks were documented by the commander in the official report. And this is it, quote, DOA, 1 female, approximately 1 week old, and end quote, and quote, injured 1 female, approximately 30 years old with burns to her face, transported to hospital by M24, end quote. So the official report saying dead on arrival, DOA, 1 female, approximately 1 week old, makes it sound as if they found a baby.
Right.
Okay. There's a language barrier. So they essentially are not listening to Luz saying there's no baby in there. The other thing that Luz was trying to explain is that when she was in the room looking for her daughter in the crib, the bedroom window was open. It is winter. Why is the bedroom window open? It shouldn't be in an infant's room where an infant was sleeping. Right? So they're not understanding or getting any of this.
Do you get the vibe that perhaps there is a socioeconomic issue that they're in?
Yes, I do, Jason.
Some Section 8 housing, and the lady who doesn't speak Spanish for their baby, and they
completely
sets on fire, and they're like, whatever.
Yes, 100%. We're going to do the bare minimum that is required of us, and that is what they did. Yes. So when you are then fast forward 6 years and you are told, I have hair strands from someone that I think is my child, because you need to understand, and you're actually with a state representative who speaks Spanish
Right.
and can say, the bedroom window was open. There was nothing found. They said that my baby was dead on arrival, but I got burned trying to get my baby out of the crib. I couldn't find her. She wasn't in the crib. She was nowhere to be found. And then they go looking and realize there's no remains. She had to go to a courthouse to get a death certificate, because what they thought were remains was just wool, ash, and wood. Right? So let's talk a little bit about the reunion, because I've told you that they're reunited, and I keep in mind what Jason just highlighted for us. I can even skip over that part in my notes, because it definitely was a part of this case, I believe, and I inserted that in here. But when Delimar finally met her biological mother, Luz, she hid under a table and then popped out and said, "Surprise!" And when Luz asked, do you know who I am? Delimar said, "You're my mother." So after 6 long years, it seems like Luz finally has her daughter again. Custody was actually granted to both Luz and Pedro, though Delimar would live with her mother, because remember, Luz and Pedro are no longer together. But despite recommendations for a slow transition by professionals, as it should be, the governor gets involved, because remember, State Representative Angel Luz.
97 in Pennsylvania. Was that Tom Ridge?
Not sure. I didn't make note of the governor.
I hope it wasn't Tom Ridge.
But because this case got, of course, such wide media attention, right? And a state representative actually helped solve this case, the governor ordered that Delimar be returned quickly. So here we have a case of somebody making an order from a higher up position that really shouldn't be getting involved at all or inserting opinion, and certainly shouldn't be going against professionals' advice. And it was rough. It was rough for 6-year-old Delimar. In March 2004, she walked into her real home wearing a blue hoodie and pink pants. She met her 3 brothers and told reporters that she felt happy. And she said, I'm at my real home. But the reality was, there was not transition services put in place. There was no counseling or reunification services. She was just thrust into a new family that she had never known, with new routines, personalities, expectations, and a language that she didn't understand, because she had been raised speaking English, and her family primarily spoke Spanish. So you want to throw another wrench into this, given the fact they don't even speak the same primary language. From the very beginning, Luz said she never believed her daughter died in that fire on December 15th. Nothing about that night made sense to her. When she ran into the burning bedroom, Delimar wasn't in her crib. The window was open in the middle of the winter, and despite firefighters insisting her baby had been incinerated, there were no remains, no bone fragments, nothing. Every instinct in Luz's body told her that her daughter had been taken. But when she tried to tell firefighters that her baby had been stolen, they brushed her off, saying that it was just the emotions. And when she tried to investigate on her own, she was told she needed to hire a lawyer, something that she couldn't afford. But still, never letting go of her suspicion, and years later, she's proven right. But at what cost? Because Delimar does not transition well at all. And Luz doesn't transition well. Luz has been raising 3 boys. Now we have a girl thrust into this. Luz was not a super affectionate mom. Okay. So I'll tell you a little bit more about that later, but I haven't told you yet about what happens to Caroline Correa, right? Because there's a trial. She's arrested. She pled no contest and was sentenced 9 to 30 years. The court case kept getting pushed, and then there was mental health issues. There is a fight for, no, we need DNA because this is my baby. Carolyn was so convinced that not only was there DNA as part of the investigation done on her to make sure Delimar wasn't hers, but then she also paid for her own independent study because she was so convinced that this was her child. And inside the courtroom, when she pled no contest, Carolyn made a stunning accusation. She claimed that Delimar's father, Pedro Vera, had helped her commit the crime. She said that Pedro had given her the baby and that she raised Delimar because she truly believed she was hers. Yeah. Now,
sounds desperate.
Pedro denies this completely, okay? But Carolyn's defense argued that she suffered from a psychotic condition, insisting that she genuinely believed that Delimar was her biological biological child. And I agree with that. I think she did.
She
think
could
that.
convince herself that was true.
Yes,
believe it.
Because she had been pregnant. She had a baby.
She could definitely have a psychiatric issue and
wholeheartedly
believe that to be true.
All of these things can be true, but also she committed a crime by kidnapping a baby
and setting a house on fire.
And what if she kidnapped the baby and it just happened to be discovered because the house started on fire? I haven't said that yet.
Oh.
What if she just took the baby from the window
just in time?
And then that same night, the electrical fire really did happen. What if the firefighters aren't wrong and it was started by the electrical fire?
I think that's a hell of a coincidence.
I agree.
I
absolutely
don't believe in coincidences either.
No, I agree. But one could argue, but I'm not disputing. She clearly stole this child.
Right. So.
Or what if Pedro is full of shit? What if Pedro did give her that baby? Pedro wasn't on the birth certificate. Did Pedro really want that child?
But he never did. Like, he didn't. There's no evidence that he had anything to do with that baby for the next 6 years. Or did he just not want Luz to have it?
Pedro? Well, he didn't have the baby because Carolyn had it.
Well, I know, but like
they had another child together, though.
If he knew that she had the baby, wouldn't he go visit?
Not if he didn't want it.
But he had another one.
He did, yeah.
This doesn't track well.
But he had all boys. What if he didn't want to raise a girl? I'm just alternative hypothesis over here. Pedro denies all.
I can see where they could get her off on convicting her of arson.
Yes, definitely. They had to drop those charges. Yeah,
that's reasonable. I mean, I don't like it, but that's totally reasonable.
Right. When there's absolutely no evidence. Right. And the fire marshal is like, actually, this started because of a electrical, whatever, electrical fire, But I just got to thinking while I was researching this case, and I'm like, God dang. What if she stole that baby and then later found out that, it caught on fire and was like, dang, that was lucky.
Right. Good thing I took the baby.
Right. Like, that's weird. So I can see why Carolyn's defense also argued that she suffered from a psychotic condition, because she did. She absolutely did. Judge Pamela Dembre, though, she didn't buy it. She didn't buy the defense's claim. She concluded that Carolyn struggled with depression, yes, but that she was manipulative, not delusional. Carolyn offered only a brief apology, saying that she was sorry for the confusion she caused the family. That's not accountability, not even close.
I'm not sure what the fuck that means.
Well, I'm sorry you're confused. Like, you mean your own confusion? Because this is my baby, and you stole her. You're the one confused.
I'm sorry you're confused that the DNA says it's your child.
I know, right? Yeah, I'm sorry that you're confused that this is my baby because my head says so, but nothing else does.
It's true because I said so.
Yeah, not because the science makes it so. So authorities never really fully unraveled Carolyn's motives. Theories ranged from a desperate desire to have a baby after, purported miscarriages to underlying mental health issues. I think it's all of it, honestly. And the thing is that Andre was actually her boyfriend at the time, which she had suffered miscarriages with. And he was confused too, because even he said, listen, I saw her be pregnant. I pressed my ear against her stomach and I felt the baby kick my ear. But we know because in 2001, she has a baby with her new beau, and actually they were married at that time, and the poor thing had died from a heart defect. So this would have been before Andre, her relationship with Andre was before, or I mean at the same time, but I mean the baby that died in 2001, the fire and her stealing Delimar happened in 1997. Yeah. So what if that baby had a heart defect
right?
too?
I mean, she had 3 other children make it.
But then where's that baby?
Well,
where's the body of that baby?
At the bottom of a landfill in North Philadelphia. Sorry.
It's so sad.
I mean, realistically, that's what she did.
Right.
She put it in.
She
threw it out.
I don't think that she murdered it.
No, I would lean towards unlikely that she murdered it because of the other miscarriage or child deaths.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, the likelihood of, if it happened 3 times, the likelihood of it happening a 4th time is pretty high, as opposed to her murdering a child.
Yes.
But yeah.
I know. And
but somebody, whether it be her or her, whoever was there, said he was there during
the relative,
the
relative that mysteriously disappears.
Somebody got rid of that baby.
Yes.
May not have
Which
been
made
her.
me wonder if it was the relative that couldn't be found.
Right. That couldn't be contacted.
It couldn't be contacted.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. That was just us speculating, but right. Soon after arriving in prison, Carolyn unraveled. She couldn't sleep. She began smashing her head against the cell walls. She was placed on suicide watch. She told staff that she was seeing and hearing a screaming baby. So this is after she was sentenced. A forensic psychologist, Elliot Atkins, spent hours interviewing Carolyn, her husband, her daughter, and her mother. He became convinced that Carolyn truly believed Aaliyah, the child she raised, was biologically hers. And when DNA tests proved otherwise, Carolyn broke down completely, sobbing and asking where her real baby was. Here's the other thing. I don't think that she really remembers or understands. And let's throw another theory out here. What if there is another person involved here and something that did something to Carolyn's baby? Okay. Didn't tell her, stole this baby, and Carolyn really didn't know, right? That would explain why Carolyn is so shocked that this baby's not hers, sorry for the family's confusion, but not admitting to kidnap. She pled no contest. She's not admitting to kidnapping.
So,
just throwing it out there, guys.
Someone else kidnapped the baby for her, not telling her that wasn't her baby.
Yes. What if they accidentally killed her baby, like watching it or feeding it something? I don't know. But it kind of tracks with her, the way she is genuine. And she could just be psychotic, guys. Mental illness is a terrible, terrible beast. Yeah. But this is what, the reason I keep bringing up these alternative hypotheses is because when you're an investigator, this is the job. This is what you're supposed to do, and how then you have to logically think what makes the most sense, but and go down that path. But when you have a forensic psychologist say she really believed Aaliyah was hers, she was genuinely shocked that the DNA did not show hers. When we are talking about, and in this neighborhood, it's not unusual for their culture, like families raise families, right? So we know 3 days after she gave birth, she visited Luz's home. She went to Pedro's to get her brakes fixed, which means she left her infant with someone else at that time, right? So it's not like her baby was in her sight at all times. I don't know. It just makes me, I just did pondering.
Yeah.
Just did some pondering.
I mean, I think the easy out is that she went off the rails and premeditatedly stole the baby.
Yes, because she did arrive, allegedly she showed up at the home the same day that it burned to get her purse. And then a little while later.
And like I said, they weren't close. It's not like she was there often. She kind of randomly shows up like, hey, Pedro, you can do my brakes, right?
Right.
Like that's a little off.
Right.
That she just happened to show up those 2 days.
But
They hadn't seen her for a while.
You know what is right? You know what's super, super weird, though, is that, well, I don't think that it was unusual. From my understanding, though, Jay, I will say this. I don't think it was unusual for people just to show up to Pedro to ask him to fix car stuff. He was very good with mechanics. So I don't know that they thought anything of that part. But Carolyn's best friend, though, did tell the media, listen, she believed so wholeheartedly that Aaliyah was hers that she paid $700 out of her own pocket, well, nearly $700, it was $638 out of her own pocket for a second set of DNA tests, desperate for a different result because she thought for sure those DNA tests were wrong.
Well, and again, psychologically, you can convince yourself something is true.
Mm-hmm.
Like she could take a lie detector test and say, no, that's my baby, and pass it because in her brain, she believes it to be true.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I will say this. Investigators do believe that Carolyn had help. Delimar vanished from an upstairs crib when Pedro wasn't home, by the way. There was never any evidence to charge anybody else, but when Carolyn went into the home, she wasn't unsupervised. The day of the fire, she wasn't unsupervised in that.
She was distracting Luz.
In that home. Right. Exactly. So they really think, she was 100% the diversion while someone else stole that baby. And then, of course, where's Carolyn's real baby? Where is the body of this death that was never reported? No body has ever been found on that baby, with that baby. So the other thing, and this is just the nail in the coffin that I haven't told you, I kind of buried the lead here. Carolyn has a disturbing pattern because she has a previous arson conviction. In 1996, she set fire to a medical office where she worked as a file clerk. She was convicted after admitting to the incident in 1998, just months after Delimar's disappearance. Her history paints a picture of a woman capable of destructive acts, right? So I don't know why, I don't know what, it was a medical office, don't know what she was trying to erase, or if she just is liked to set fires. Why can't I remember the name all of a sudden of the term? Help me, I'm being dumb.
Fire starter?
Yeah, but what are they called?
An arson.
No, there's an actual philia for it.
Oh, I don't know that one.
Yes, you do.
No.
Yes.
No.
Pyro.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh, that hurt my brain so bad. It's been a long week at work, everybody. Woo! Yeah. I mean, what if she just really enjoys, I don't know. But that was just in 96.
But once she stole someone's baby, she didn't set fire to anything else?
No, well, not that she was caught. This was, and this isn't her second conviction, guys. She was never convicted for this one. They couldn't prove it. They couldn't prove that. And honestly, I think this idea was hers. I don't think she did it. I don't think she set fire, and I don't think she actually did the kidnapping. I'm with the investigators.
I don't know why if she's facing 30 years in prison, I'd be like, Charnell fucking did it. Like, she was there too. Bitch did it. She helped me.
Well, for
Reduce
sure.
Reduce my time.
For sure. I don't know. Unless it's the family member that can't be reached.
Right.
And she knew there was no way to there's no one else to contact. I don't know.
They have no information about that person.
Apparently not. Not that I could find. Doesn't mean they don't know, but I couldn't find it. Right.
A little weird.
Maybe it's being kept close to the chest because they're still hoping to, bring resolution there. But the rest of Delimar's childhood and adolescent years were really difficult. Her parents are split up. So during the years that she went missing, so custody being with both of them means that she had to bounce back and forth between two homes. And sadly, she ends up back in foster care, Jason, because as a teenager, I know, as a teenager with untreated trauma, she and her mother were not getting along. So she went to live with Pedro. Well, there was a moment where Pedro struck her during an argument, leaves a bruise, and she ends up at a youth home. Her mom felt that she couldn't control her. Her dad felt he couldn't control her, not without physical force, which got him in trouble. So she's at a youth home. Then at 16, she's living in a dangerous Philadelphia neighborhood with her abusive gun-toting boyfriend, because of course she's not going to make good choices at this age with her untreated trauma in boys, right? So meanwhile, while this is all happening, the case continued to captivate the public, and fueled by media coverage and retellings like Lifetime's Little Lost Girl, the Delimar Vera story, there's a dramatization too of The Hand That Rocked the Cradle documentary series that features Delimar. Okay. None of that is helping her case when she is struggling as an adolescent and teenager. But in 2018, Delimar met the man who would become her husband, Isaiah Robinson. The two married in 2023, and they now live a quiet life in Philadelphia with her stepson, a dog, and a cat. In recent years, Delimar has also become much closer with her biological family, especially her mom. So the teenage years were rough, but now they are moving forward together as adults and have grown very close. There's a lot of beautiful pictures of them out there now.
Hopefully, maybe she found a good therapist.
I think so. I really, really do.
That's a lot.
Yes.
Like, that's a lot for someone to survive through.
Sure is. And then,
like, it'd be one thing. It'd be one thing if she was like 2.
I know.
And then found and got returned, and like when she's an adult, like, by the way, your fucking aunt kidnapped you for like 3 years, and then we got you back.
Right. And you don't remember.
But then you actually think someone's your mother as a developing child.
Yes. Then to have that ripped away from you, have to learn a whole new family and routines, have new siblings. Think of that. New siblings. You don't
like to even
comprehend.
Be like, well, you're my mom. Okay.
Right. Then
like I can understand why she might develop some trust issues.
You'd think. Then also remember the language barrier. Now you have to learn a whole new language too. Not only a new family and routines and what the household rules are. And I don't mean just regular household rules, guys. I mean like the hierarchy. In every family, there are people that just have stronger energies. When you are grown up amongst siblings, everyone has their pecking order, right? In their place. She's got to learn all of those, literally the rules of the jungle, right?
Yeah.
And a new language. And couple that with parents that are separated, that aren't together, and moms who aren't, like she described, Carolyn was not very loving and affectionate either. She worked long hours too. So even the mom that she did have didn't sound like she was like a stellar mom. But it was the only mom she ever knew at the time.
Right.
Then to not have any transition services, had they had transition services put in place, they also could have had an interpreter and teacher to help teach her the language instead of just throwing her in the water and learning how to swim yourself. Like, how confusing for a 6-year-old. Oh, and by the way, also go to school, learn how to, a new school, like just learn how
I will say, well, one, I'm going to defend my buddy Tom Rich. He was not governor at the time. He had left already, thank God.
Okay.
I say that because my mother knew him. She actually was on his campaign because he was out of Erie.
Okay.
Anyway.
Good.
But I will say, up until, from what I know of, like, children and family services in Pennsylvania, they are garbage compared to what our child protection laws are here. Like, I had a cousin who basically did CPS in Pennsylvania, and it was laughable.
Really?
Like, the rules that the restrictions that they have, like, they just can't do anything. Like, it was almost a joke, like, of what they could and couldn't do
to protect children,
to even intervene and protect kids.
Wow.
Like, so I can only, maybe it's gotten better over the years, but historically it wasn't great.
Wow. Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So, like I said, not from what you and I are used to for the state of Michigan.
Right.
Like, we're pretty top notch for child protection law. So, like, it was nothing. It wasn't even close. It was like, she would tell me stories as a social worker there in children's services. It was laughable.
Ugh. And people listening from Michigan that have probably had some sort of experience or heard about, other stories or whatever, they're probably like, whatever, Michigan's laws suck. Nobody ever protects kids.
If you've ever unfortunately been on the wrong end of the table with family services or CPS, be grateful you're in Michigan.
Yeah. It's just our child protection law is definitely a little bit more ironclad than other states for sure. Carolyn Correa paroled in March 2013, according to the Pennsylvania Department of Corrections. And I need to make a correction. I meant to say that she was sentenced in 2005. I think I accidentally said 2015. So apologize for that. But she was, she was actually sentenced in 2005 because this all went down in 2004. And then she was paroled in 2013. So she is no longer
9 years. Mm-hmm. The minimum of the sentencing.
She did the minimum, guys.
So kidnapping, it's cool. Go ahead.
Yeah.
You'll
just get the 9 years, and then you'll
I'm not
be
sure
out.
what they're basing that off of.
Remember though, they couldn't get her for arson too.
Kidnapping.
I know. This is bad.
She did. That's on the top of the list.
She only did just a little more time than the length of time that she had the daughter.
Murder, rape, kidnapping, like in that order. Like
I would think. Man, I'm telling you, she had her for 6 years. And she only did 9.
Imprisonment. It's not just kidnapping. That's like
It is.
That's so fucked up.
I agree. I was shocked when I was like, okay, which also probably means she was out on good behavior. I'm, because there was no one to kidnap and no fires to set in prison. Like
I had a client that didn't dispose of his dog after it died of natural causes and did 3 years.
I remember that.
What the fuck?
Mm-hmm. I remember that.
That's upsetting.
9 years for stealing a childhood from a mother. And
traumatizing a family, multiple people,
including a family. Yep, 100%. But the things that were stolen from Pedro and Luz, you know what I mean? The first 6 years with which, by the way, developmentally, the first really 5 are the most crucial, right?
I mean, it's by far the most enjoyable. Once they start talking.
Seriously. And getting their own personalities.
Once they start getting an attitude, it's over.
Yes. No, you are not wrong. It's just, and then they just leave, she just has this traumatic now instance, and they're left to put the pieces back together. It's terrible. Yeah. So that's the story of Delimar Vera.
Well,
and I'm just happy to report that as of 2023, I know that was 3 years ago. I don't know. There's not any update of whether or not she's had children or anything like that. But at least into where I could find the ending in 2023, she was happily married with a stepson and a dog. And and I hope that's still the case for her.
Our version of her story ends on a happy ending.
It does. But what a fucked up case, right?
Oh, that's going to keep me up now. Speaking of fucked up cases.
Yeah. That's what we're here for.
Right. One of our Patreon listeners told me that he was on vacation, like in California, sitting at a pool, binge listening to like an entire year's worth of episodes.
Oh my gosh.
And he got to the one of the I don't remember her name because I probably suppressed it because it was so upsetting. The mother that killed 9 of her children.
Oh yes, Tinning.
Yeah.
Mary Beth.
He's like, that almost ruined my vacation.
Oh.
He's like, I was actually so mad I couldn't think.
Sorry about that.
I was so mad.
Oh man. Yeah, that's a rough one, man. Where they just kept accepting that
this isn't as bad, but this isn't, it's it's disturbing.
It is. I think what is most disturbing for me is the lack of investigation the lack of taking her serious, because I really don't think that it took a genius to figure out who took this baby. If a real investigation had been started into the possibility that this baby had been stolen to begin with, they could have interviewed, right? Like we could have figured out who was in this home.
I just feel like, and I can see both sides of this coin, but I feel like they're like, hey, there's supposed to be a baby in this small room. We can't find any remains of a baby.
10 days old.
Let's just say there's some the frontline firefighters there in this room, and they're looking at each other like, It must have burned up.
I know.
I feel like they would get a second opinion.
There is no one to say how hot and how long would this fire have had to burn to make there be no evidence of a baby. Granted, they were mistaking dried up particles of wood for human ash, but you're still going to have bone.
Right.
Like you're still
going
to
have something. I can have bits.
I know it, man. I know it. It's
yeah,
messed up right from the beginning.
The investigation was disappointing.
And them why didn't you get an interpreter? Why didn't you? And I know
Tell me nobody on the firefighters on that department speaks Spanish?
Apparently not fluently enough to hear her say, my baby wasn't in the crib. The window was open. I couldn't find her.
Like there's a frantic
she was
woman.
Rushed to the hospital.
Okay.
Because she
the
had burns
hospital
all
doesn't
over
have
her.
anybody who speaks Spanish?
Well, I think that she was anticipating on them all doing their job. Right.
But like there had been someone who understood what she was saying and then could be like, maybe we should relay this information.
I think that it turned into a, I'm sure they will look into that. Oh, I'm sure that just assumptions.
Just passing the buck.
Just a lot of assumptions. And then when she is told, well, your baby was DOA, your baby was dead on arrival. And then she's just like, wait, no, because my baby wasn't even there to begin with. It just took time and her persistence.
That's where somebody misunderstood something somewhere because one person said she was DOA, meaning there was
a body,
remains, a body, which couldn't just be a ball of wool and a piece of wood.
Right. Right.
To, thing totally incinerated. There's no baby.
Yes.
Like I know. That's more gray than it should be. I
agree. You want me to bathe you?
I would love to.
I'm going to read from. I would love to
bathe my fancy.
I'm gonna bathe your fancy. This is from the book Don't Trust a Fart. Funny stories of flatulence and regret. Okay. Yes, this is story number 12. Just so you know, the smart home betrayal. Smart homes are supposed to make life easier. Voice-activated lights, automated reminders, and temperature just right. But what they don't advertise is how quickly convenience can turn into career sabotage. I'd invested heavily. Voice assistants, smart plugs, the works. My living room responded to me like I was Captain Kirk on the bridge of the Enterprise. Lights dimmed on command, music played instantly, and the thermostat listened better than most coworkers. It was futuristic. It was efficient. It was flawless. Until the day of my big phone interview. I'd applied for a dream job, better pay, more responsibility, actual benefits that didn't expire after 3 months. The interview was going well. I was nailing the answers, hitting the professional balance of confidence and humility. For once, I felt like I belonged in the big leagues. Then my smart assistant decided to chime in. In the middle of my explaining how I'd successfully let a project roll out, a cheerful robotic voice cut through. Alex, you had me... Sorry. Read ahead a little bit, guys. Alex, you asked me to remind you about your regular appointment for STD screening at 3 p.m. today. Christ. Should I reschedule due to your current phone call? The silence that followed was deafening. On the other end of the line, the hiring manager hesitated. I could practically hear him blinking. My career prospects now shared the stage with my very personal, very unnecessary medical reminders. I scrambled. Sorry, my phone assistant still doesn't understand privacy settings. He chuckled politely, but we both knew what had just happened. We wrapped up with a hollow, "We'll be in touch soon," which sounded suspiciously like, "We'll laugh about this at lunch and never call you again." The rest of the day was spent angrily reprogramming the assistant's setting, muttering about betrayal, and wondering if I'd had to move to a cabin in the woods to escape technology. The twist? A week later, I received an email. I'd been shortlisted. Apparently, the hiring manager appreciated my commitment to responsible health practices and my embrace of modern technology. The humiliation had been recast as maturity. Who knew oversharing could pay off? So he was shortlisted, but he didn't get the job. So
I'm not gonna lie. As much as I enjoy these stories from Don't Trust a Fart, several that we've listened to or read are not about farts. And that's disappointing to me.
I understand. I understand
it's misleading.
In your brain how that would
I was really excited
you.
About a fart story. That's a great story.
It sure is.
But I was looking forward to a fart story.
Well, it says funny stories.
I feel like that's why we got the book.
Hold on. We have to read with intention. It says funny stories of flatulence and regret. So that one was a story with regrets.
Okay.
No regrets.
Not even one letter.
Not even one letter. Yes. So that's why it's relevant.
If you're as disappointed as I am in the Don't Trust a Fart story today.
Do you have a fart story?
Kind of.
Oh, okay.
I've been binge watching Bob's Burgers for like the last 2 months.
All right, this is what Jason does in his spare time.
And listen, yes, I'm 50 years old and I watch cartoons because
Okay.
it's funny as shit. And John H. Benjamin is a genius.
Excuse me.
But if you've ever watched Bob's Burgers, it's hilarious. And his children are just mental. Well, his one daughter, who's like definitely like rocking the spectrum, she's in love with this boy. And on Valentine's Day, he asked her to meet her in the gym to give her a kiss. And then she got diarrhea at school.
You're really telling me a story about a cartoon?
And then she's in the girls' bathroom talking to her sister. And she goes, nothing can stand in the way of true love. And her sister says, except diarrhea of the butt.
It can.
Specifically of the butt.
Specifically of the butt.
And my wife and I laughed hysterically. This was just last night.
I want to ask, but I won't. Never mind.
Anyway, you gotta watch it. Check it out.
Okay.
That's a better fart story than the guy with an STD.
Yeah, because that was just a story about regret,
Well,
not fart.
Should regret using AI that much.
I think so.
Like, that's
I think
the moral
that's
of that story.
I agree. Don't tell your robot about your STD screenings.
Yeah.
Also,
say
good
doctor's
on
appointment.
him.
Doctor's appointment. That's all that machine had to know.
The fact that he's like, I'm such a player. Every 3 months, I better be screened. I don't know if that's sad or responsible.
It's a bit of
We
both.
could just have protected sex.
A bit of both.
We could just do that.
Maybe just quit sticking it places.
Yeah.
She didn't look like she had anything.
Oh, gosh.
Blech.
Anyway, on that note,
All
guys, we do hope that you keep it curious.
Keep listening.
Until next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, used to chase the tears in a different kind of grind, helping little ones leaving our old selves behind. Charnell, Jason, Megan, a trio strong and true, but the system wore us out, needed something fresh and new. So we flipped the script, found the mic and the beat. From deep investigations to stories bittersweet. Prosecutor, the judge, that's Megan on the mic. Charnell digs the dirt, makes sure the facts are right. Crime curious, yeah, that's the name we claim. Shaking our grief, fanning the curious flame. From global listeners to the brain bag we provide. Keep it curious, keep listening with nowhere to hide. Jason's got the wisdom and the jokes to make us smile. Keeps the energy flowing for every single mile. We dive into the dark where the mysteries reside. Unraveling the truth with nowhere left to hide. Laws and evidence, Megan lays it down with grace. While Charnell's deep research sets the compelling pace. Crime curious, yeah, that's the name we claim. Shaking our grief, fanning the curious flame. From global listeners to the brain bag we provide. Keep it curious, keep listening with nowhere to hide. Don't ask about the raccoon, some secrets we just keep. But every week we're digging secrets buried deep. For every mind that wonders, for every soul that seeks, we're here to break it down in our Crime Curious Speaks. Crime Curious.